Good morning and welcome back to Miniature Monday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we are going to be taking a look at the Battletech miniatures pack of the Hansen's Roughriders Battle Lance. Wow, that is a lot of words to get through. But this is one of the newly released sets of figures that focuses on some of the notable mercenary commands within the Inner Sphere. Now, before we get started, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few different videos each week covering all sorts of content from miniatures, board games, card games, role-playing games. Basically, if it's on the tabletop, we like to talk about it. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of those. I will also have videos for the remainder of the new mech packs coming soon. So keep an eye out for those. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first one that we've got on the list is the Commando. Now, the way that I'm going to be doing these videos in the past, we'd gone through all of the historical art for the particular figure, but because I've already done that with many of these mechs, since most of them are reposes as opposed to brand new figures, we're just going to look at the original piece of art, and then we're going to look at the ilClan version of the art. So in this case, we have the original version of the Commando coming out of 3025, so it's obviously one of the oldest mechs in the inventory. But it is, kind of a classic. Now, this one is probably one of the better pieces of art, much cleaner, not a whole lot of issues as far as drafting lines, things like that. But let's take a look at the ilClan version. Now, this one I think actually changes it up quite a bit. Obviously, we've got the large autocannon in the right arm, a laser in the left arm. Let's go back and look. So, it's still that same configuration. Looks like there's something here in the chest of some kind, but that it seems to have been more of a design on the new piece of art. So they've changed it up. It's got kind of that football looking helmet to it, but as far as this figure goes, it's clearly a repose. Most of the original figures stayed very close to the original art that they'd done for the ilClan era. This one definitely seems to have changed it up. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. So they've given it a bit more dynamic pose, some running legs, repositioned to the arms, the torso's facing forward. So it gives it a bit more of a dynamic look. I definitely, I prefer that in my figures, although, sometimes that can add to some difficulty. But as far as changing up the pose like this, usually a little easier just to get some simple tooling for, say, a couple of legs as opposed to having to redo the entire model. So I do like that they've been doing that, because with a lot of these reposes, I've also been noticing slight variance. So they'll do new arms, new legs for running. So hopefully we can get some more variance as time goes on, but we will see what they come up with. All right, so that is the Enforcer. Obviously, I spent a little more time on him than I wanted, but let's move on to the next mech. All right, next up we have the Atlas. Now, the Atlas is, again, one of those mainstays of the setting. Originally coming out in Tech Readout 3025, as you can see here, just a beast, an imposing kind of figure. One thing I just noticed in the art, if you look down at his feet, kind of at that horizon line, they've done a really good job at showing how massive and imposing it is. Just because there's very little in the background. They didn't do a lot of hills or anything. They just did a whole lot of, just a little bit of stuff along the horizon line, just to give that, kind of illusion of this mech is absolutely massive. And as you can see for the miniature, it actually takes up most of the screen. I didn't change the camera positioning or anything. It's at the same focal distance. So clearly it is a large and imposing mech and figure. Now here is the ilClan version of the mech. So this one I think was pretty close to, this piece of art was pretty close to the Alpha Strike version of the Atlas, where it's just kind of a, a little bit more static in its look. But they did give this one a little bit more dynamism. When you look at its arms, so they're raised up, aiming those medium lasers in the forearms out towards its target. A little bit more positioning with the legs, like it's taking incoming fire, things like that. So overall, really, really good version of this figure. I mean, it's an Atlas. No one's really going to complain about an Atlas. They got the skull face. They got, everything else that it's supposed to have, and it just looks mean. So there we go. But that is the Atlas. All right, next up we have the hatchetman. Now, this, again, one of the originals, as you can see from the 3025 art on the screen. But absolutely a classic mech. It's got that unique head that in reality is a detachable cockpit. So if the pilot needs to eject, the entire head pops off and will actually fly a short distance away to try and save the pilot. I don't know exactly how effective it is, but it's what they did in the design and the lore, and obviously was maintained through the different figure designs, but it was also original design, so we didn't have any unseen issues to deal with. But let's take a look at the ilClan version. So, bit bulkier, extra armor plates, but still maintaining that unique head, the little sensor pod on either side, and overall the mech maintains all of that. It's a good looking design. Now this one seems a little static because it also has an added feature that is new for this set. Now if you look at its legs right now, you can see those two kind of black squares in the middle. Those are actually holes in the figure so that you can actually do this. So this is a new feature that they're doing with these mech packs. In each pack, there is a figure that is jump capable. And so they've actually given you the option, not just with a repose, but you can also now decide, is it jumping or not? Now, I haven't experimented with these as far as once you get them painted, because technically I'm borrowing this set. I don't have one of my own yet. But they did actually make it optional. So you can either glue your figure in place because you don't want to deal with the jump jets. You can glue the jump jets in place because you think it's more dynamic. Or you can leave them off. Now, I'm not quite sure how well that will work as far as the durability of the mech. And any paint job that you put on it. Obviously in a bare plastic form, that's going to be fine. But with this, like on the hatchetman, there are fins on the back of its heels that kind of tuck into the smoke. And so I think if you make it optional and you do decide to paint the figure, you're going to be scratching that paint over time. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I will have my own copy at some point. And I might just, glue it in permanently. And then I could take an original hatchetman and this hatchetman and paint them the same. So that way, I can differentiate them. Would also be fun, instead of needing to put a marker down that it jumped. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to put the jump version out to show that it jumped. I don't know. Regardless, it's a fun option. And whether you use it or not, I do like when companies at least give you the choice. Do you want to do something like this? And it's just fun. A friend of mine and I, because the exhaust kind of looks like marshmallows, we started calling them the Stay Puft Marshmallow version of the particular mech. But regardless, it's kind of fun. So this one, it's still a little static. So it looks like it's just jumping straight up. But overall, it's not bad. It's a fun design, and yeah, again, very accurate to the art. So let's move on to our last mech. All right, and for the last mech, we've got the Penetrator. Now, this is the new mech out of the pack. And as you can see from this art, obviously it appeared quite a while ago. It originally appeared in Tech Readout 3055. The interesting thing is, I think the art, maintained pretty well. Now, the legs are quite a bit different. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what the artist was doing with these legs, but they still kind of, it still kind of fits as far as the overall design. Now, it did get one upgrade version of the art. Now, this is from Technical Readout 3055 upgrade. I think we're getting a lot closer to the current design, but this came out in, well, now I'm going to have to back up and find out, 2005. Okay, so it's been around, this has been around for a while, but I think they definitely made an improvement in the legs. They look a lot more functional than the previous version. But we obviously then got one final upgrade with the ilClan version. So the ilClan version, I think they finally fixed the legs. They look a lot cleaner to me. The lasers and everything in the torso look a lot more, a little bit more dynamic. I actually kind of like how they are. They're not all on the exact same line. There's a little bit of a curve in there. Adds just, it's an aesthetic thing that I like on that. But overall, I think the figure absolutely captures the original art. Now, one thing I just noticed, so both of the arm cannons are kind of pointing down, whereas in the art, one of them is lifted up and firing. I think that would have been a little cooler to get it a little closer to the art, but otherwise, everything else is pretty much spot on. Regardless, it's a good piece. It's a good looking mech. It was, at least in my case, because I've been painting everything up based on named pilots. There's already an easy one, Archer Christofori, who was a major character in a bunch of the novels. So that'll be easy to pick that out. Just need to pick out exactly which paint scheme. But regardless, nice to see them, adding more mechs, not just through Kickstarter, but slowly releasing some additional mechs for us. But overall, yeah, I really liked this set. They had some great figures. The addition of the Penetrator was a good choice, just for something, completely different. And yeah, I like the set. I highly recommend it. This one, at the current time, they are releasing them through specific distributors, and I'm not quite sure who they went through for Hansen's Roughriders. So you may need to look around to find a particular place that you can purchase it from, but they have been showing up pretty easily, and so there we go. But other than that, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Battletech is one of my favorite games, so I do try to feature it frequently. And in addition, if you're interested in following us on other social media, we do have links down below to Facebook and Twitter, and also a link to DriveThruRPG. If you purchase your books in PDF for Battletech, would absolutely appreciate it if you use that. That way the channel does get a little bit of a kickback that we can use towards bringing you additional content and additional reviews. So with that all out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.